Gelsemium is one of the remedies which has its prominent action especially on the nerves and muscles of body. So Gelsemium is a plant. If it is consumed in excess doses, then it's very poisonous. It shows poisonous effects. Most of the symptoms of Gelsemium have arrived from poisoning of the remedy. So let's try to study exactly what Gelsemium is. If you want to learn Gelsemium in very short way, the four main symptoms of Gelsemium that you can remember is dullness, dizziness, drowsiness and trembling. This is very simple to remember. Dullness, dizziness, drowsiness and trembling. So you should know 3 D's and a T. This is how we used to remember in our college days. So leaving it aside, the main action of this remedy is on your nerves. So the nerves that are totally exhausted in a semi-paralytic stage, so almost leading to paralysis. So what we see in this remedy is the stage just before the paralysis. So in paralysis, the muscles, they don't obey your will. If you try to move a muscle or move part of your body, it's not movable. But Gelsemium produces a state just prior to it. So in this stage, what happens is that the muscles, they show a lot of trembling. So trembling is the grand character of Gelsemium, and you should never forget trembling. This trembling is internally, externally in the muscles. If you are asking me how internally, so the basic character, the basic nature of Gelsemium is they are extremely timid, coward. In a simple words, they are coward, extremely timid people, very fearful people. And that's why Gelsemium, as we see in the Materia Medica, is one of the leading most remedies for examination funk. What we say, examination funk. So you are going for an exam and suddenly diarrhea sets in because of that anxiety that's developing within the organism. So Gelsemium is one of the leading remedy for this examination funk, and that's why I have said trembling internally also. In our rural language or in our common language, let us say, we say that if person he gets scared, he's very much feared. So what happens first thing? In Marathi we call it as pilot latka pail lagle. We have a phrase, if your extremities are trembling, that means you are very much scared. Synonymically, it is termed as getting scared. So that means whenever you are scared, your extremities, especially legs, they tremble. Something similar happens in Gelsemium. So this person who is very weak personality, and such weak person, whenever he is exposed to any kind of fear or fright, or whenever he is in the state of anxiety, the first thing that happens is there is trembling of the extremities. So Gelsemium has a very strong tendency to produce such kind of trembling. And whenever you see such kind of trembling and fearfulness, you should not forget Gelsemium. This is such a grand character of Gelsemium that, because Gelsemium is a remedy which can be used both in acute as well as in chronic state. So in chronic state, what happens is that suppose a patient comes to you for in any trouble, especially any neuromuscular trouble or some GIT trouble or something like that, and you are treating him with remedies after remedies, and almost after years of treating, suddenly he tells you one day, I can't talk in front of people. Why? Because I am very much scared. I am very much scared to talk in front of people. So after years of treating, you come to know, oh my God, I miss Gelsemium. Then you try to formulate the picture of Gelsemium. So whenever you see a person who is very much scared, extremely scared to talk in front of public, the first remedy that you're going to think is Gelsemium. It's so much so important symptom of Gelsemium. Extreme timidity of talking in the public. They're very feared, very scared to talk in the public. Immediately trembling sets in. There are some remedies which have examination funk, like we can talk about Argentum nitricum, we can talk about Cilicia also. And each remedy has its own type of presentation, clinical presentation. Out of all these remedies, one of the most covered remedies is this one. Even Lycopodium also, again covered and can have examination funk, Lycopodium also. But something peculiar or characteristic of Lycopodium is that will be scared in front of superiors, will tremble. There will be examination funk to face the seniors. But if he is talking to some junior, he'll try to dominate the junior, he'll boast, he'll show off that I am so much great, I am this one, I am that one, and something like that. So Lycopodium has this characteristic. Cilicia has something different characteristic. Cilicia will be scared when he will be starting to talk, or before starting to talk he will be very much scared. But the moment he starts, he'll continue flawlessly, quite easily. He'll continue talking, not a problem for him. This is something character of Cilicia. Argentum nitricum, again very scared one. Personally, if you ask me, I have many times confused Argentum nitricum with this remedy, Gelsemium. They are very close remedies. Gelsemium and Argentum nitricum are so close remedies, especially when you are treating cases of anxiety neurosis. There are very fine shades which are different. Like if you look in the repertory, fear of narrow places, fear of talking in the public, then anything, most of the fears they are covered by both of them. Only the shades are different one. So it goes very difficult for us to differentiate between these two remedies. The main difference is that Gelsemium does not have the other factors that we are using to differentiate between these two remedies is desire for sweet and aggravation from sweet that is present in Argentum nitricum is not symptom of Gelsemium. Second thing, Gelsemium produces mostly semi-paralytic state. This tendency to paralysis is more prominent in Gelsemium compared to Argentum nitricum. Then Argentum nitricum is mostly a hot remedy. Most of the things are aggravated by heat. And Gelsemium, the complaints may develop in summer. It's a summer remedy, Gelsemium, of course. But Gelsemium can often be chilly also in acutes, especially in acutes. So anyhow, let us focus more towards Gelsemium. And Gelsemium is a remedy which is most prominently acting in cases of semi-paralytic states. Okay, and again, whenever we think of paralysis, the first remedy we are going to think is of course causticum. And no way you are going to confuse between these two remedies, because causticum, the central theme of causticum is that they are rebelling it. They cannot tolerate injustice. Suppose there is a weak person, I am a teacher, I am teaching in a class, and there is a student and I talk something wrong to the student. So if there is any causticum girl in the class, then she will stand up and say, sir, no sir, this is wrong one. You are doing exactly wrong. This is not the way you should treat her. Or she is correct and you are wrong. This is how. Whenever she observes that someone is trying to dominate someone, or whenever she sees that there is injustice, causticum can't support that. She can't keep quiet. She'll get into that quarrel. She'll directly get involved in that quarrel and will try to fight back, even against authorities. If we will talk about Gelsemium, the innermost central core of Gelsemium is such that these are the people who are extremely coward. They don't have something to support themselves also. That kind of guts that are needed. They don't have that. So how they are going to support others? So there is no doubt about fighting for others, because they themselves are so timid inside, so much so coward, so much so fearful inside. They can't fight back for themselves also. Forget about others. So in Gelsemium, the central theme is this semi-paralytic stage and trembling. Another thing which is very important, Gelsemium is one of the leading remedies in ancient days also and in nowadays also for viral fevers, influenzas, viral fevers and typhoids. One of the most important remedies for this kind of conditions. Whenever you see, I told you 3 Ds and a T: dullness, dizziness, drowsiness and trembling. I think I explained trembling quite properly. So why there is trembling, what is the inner state behind the trembling, and the connection of his mental symptoms with his trembling. Now, I explained these things synonymically, so I hope you will not misunderstand it or misinterpret it, because I said how the mental trembling or internal trembling and this trembling of the extremities is synergetic. But if you are treating a case of viral fever and the patient has sudden loss of power in his limbs, lower limbs especially, suddenly he can't stand, he has fever, he has influenza, viral fever, and he can't stand, or the child can't stand. In that case, it's not necessary that he will have internal trembling or this kind of mental picture that I explained to you. There should be no confusion. So, in that state, definitely you are going to think about Gelsemium. Gelsemium, one of the biggest keynote of Gelsemium that you are never going to forget. This is a remedy which causes semi-paralytic state of the muscles, nerves and in turn muscles. So, whenever you see ptosis in acute, any kind of acute, so drooping of the upper eyelid, that's what we call as ptosis. So the muscles of the eyes are so weak that he even can't lift that. There is a lot of trembling and can't lift. His eyes are like this. There is a lot of trembling. He is trying to lift the eyes and he is not able to open the eyes. So there is something like this happening in the eyes. There is either there is a lot of trembling or there is semi-paralytic. The eyes are half closed, even when the patient is awake, because he can't lift the eyelids. This kind of trembling can be present anywhere, even in the tongue. So whenever in acute you see trembling of the tongue, it's not always lachesis. In chronic, it could be a lachesis case or any snake remedy, because snakes, their tongue tremble. But in acute, when you are treating an acute and suddenly a patient, you ask the patient to stick out his tongue, and when you notice that his tongue is trembling a lot, so at that time the first remedy you are going to think is Gelsemium because of this trembling. Why I am focusing so much on trembling? Because this is such a grand character of Gelsemium that you should never forget. So ptosis, this is again another keynote of Gelsemium. Gelsemium is supposed to be a thirstless remedy. In most of the acute, Gelsemium is a thirstless remedy. So dullness, dizziness, drowsiness, trembling, thirstlessness, ptosis, and another very big keynote. I have not found it so frequently, but it's a very big keynote, bold letter keynote symptom of Gelsemium mentioned in Materia Medicas is Gelsemium has headache, which is ameliorated by urination, profuse flow of urine. Only once I have seen a case which was exactly opposite. The patient had not said me that headache is ameliorated by profuse urination, but patient said me that whenever the bladder is full, then his headache starts. This thing also can be seen. So you should remember, whenever the bladder is full, the headache starts. This also could be a presentation of Gelsemium. So don't forget this symptom. So they are very timid people. There is no courage inside, utter lack of courage, tendency to paresis and paralysis. Okay, examination funk, one of the leading remedies for examination funk. Gelsemium is one of the leading remedies for headaches also. Headaches. It's one of the very important remedies for headaches. Especially, I must say, these are occipital headaches. Occipital headaches, and this remedy can also show these headaches accompanied with vomiting also, as we see in sanguinaria, mostly iris. Iris has this headache which is accompanied with vomiting. So this can also be present in gelsemium, headaches accompanied with vomiting. But if you have with headache this keynote, it's a sure shot indication of gelsemium that headache is better by urination, or whenever the patient holds urine, headache starts. Okay. So something which Stilwarts have said about this remedy is that the muscles, they refuse to obey the will. So I want to lift this thing, this bottle. Suppose I want to lift this bottle, but my hand has not that power to lift. So I am trying to lift, but I am literally not able to lift it. This is something happening with gelsemium. So whenever you see something like this in acute, you're going to think about gelsemium. Even in some chronic stages, immediately your mind should go to gelsemium. You should start asking the questions about gelsemium. Gelsemium, as such, I must say, has no any strong desires and aversions. No peculiar desires and aversions that we generally discuss about rest of the other remedies. So I think that's enough. You should not forget that this remedy, most of the symptoms are acute in summer season, even in cold season also I have used this remedy. So there is nothing fixed as such, but in summers it's a very important remedy, gelsemium in summers. So in summer, if you have acute, then you can think about this remedy. Even in typhoids, whenever you in typhoid you see such kind of dullness, dizziness, a patient is a lot of lethargic, want to lie down, does not want to be talked to. So whenever you see such kind of picture in acute, so you are going to think about gelsemium. Even in headache, wants to lie down, doesn't want to talk to anyone, especially if it is accompanied with this trembling of the extremities. I am trying to impress this trembling so much so on your mind that whenever you see gelsemium, immediately this trembling should come to your mind. So dullness, dizziness, drowsiness and trembling. So dizziness, dullness and drowsiness are almost the same. Dizziness, you feel dizzy means suddenly, because this power on these nerves are losing their power. So what happens is that these are the nerves, this brain is something which maintains your posture. Okay. So what happens is that your nerves are getting weak, so you are losing your posture. So suddenly there is dizziness, you can't judge the things, you can't understand the things, and this is something, this toxin, this gelsemium plant is definitely neurotoxic plant. So it is producing a kind of chemical locha in the brain, in our common language we say. So the brain and the nerves, they are slowly getting deteriorated. So that's why these patients, the understanding of this patient is very poor. They can't understand. The response to the stimuli is quite slow, getting quite slower and slower. And again, gelsemium is a remedy in which pathology develops quite slowly, not so rapidly as we see in aconite or belladonna, where the pathology develops quite rapidly. Gelsemium is not that fast remedy compared to that. Again, as we can see, this anticipatory diarrhea, what we call as. So when you are going to go for an exam and suddenly the diarrhea sets in, you have to face a viva and suddenly you have to rush to the lavatory. So whenever we see this symptom, again it goes towards Gelsemium, very important symptom of Gelsemium. Oh yeah. And something which is very important for Gelsemium that you should never forget in acutes is that flushes of heat alternating with chills. Again a very important symptom to confirm Gelsemium. So at the moment patient feels very hot, and at the next moment he feels, or after some time, not exactly next moment, after some time he feels very chilly, and again after some time he feels hot, again after some time he feels chilly. So this cycle goes on continuing. Whenever we see this thing, we are going to think about Gelsemium. This is again, if we get this symptom, it's very important symptom of Gelsemium in acute, in fever especially. Okay. And another keynote of this remedy is chills that they run through the back, up and down through the back. Chills run up and down through the back, your spine. Chills they run through your spine. So again, it's an important keynote of this remedy. Again, due to this action of the nerves or what, Gelsemium can also affect heart. Gelsemium has some heart affection. So it has a very characteristic symptom that he feels that his heart would stop beating if he is not in the motion. So he has to keep himself in motion, which is the remedy which has this symptom. Do you remember that? The heart would stop beating if he does not move. Feeling that heart will stop beating if he does not move. Lobelia, it's a lobelia. Okay. This point should be ample clear now. So there is semi-paralytic state, the muscles are getting weak, there is relaxation of the muscular system, and this is leading to lack of coordination of the muscles. Muscular coordination is lacking. So whenever we see lack of muscular coordination, the fine motor movements can't be done. Suppose a lady has to sew a thread into the needle, she can't. Even though her eyes are good, she can't, because muscular coordination is not proper. Especially surgeons, if they have to use their fingers, especially surgeons, for sewing and all that kind of things. So if their fingers are not working properly, they have to lose their job. So we can save them from the job by using this remedy, Gelsemium. There is trembling, a lot of trembling. Okay. So I think this is sufficient for Gelsemium. If you have any doubt, you can ask me.